When you start investing, you will ask yourself the question, should you just go all in on one thing, or should you put your money equally into loads of different things? This is a question that I get asked, and so many people wonder when they start in their investing journey or their career or whatever they're doing. It is a question that keeps coming up. Should I invest in one thing, or how many companies should I buy? Should I put all of it into one company that I think is going to do well, or should I go all in on one crypto, or what should I do? This is going to be an important video for you to watch because I'm going to explain diversification and how it is going to affect you and what you need to know about it. What I think about diversification is that if you are able to understand absolutely everything there is to know about what you are investing in, and you have no doubt in your mind that absolutely everything within this company or within this cryptocurrency or whatever you're investing in is within your understanding, you have no doubt. When you are investing in a company, it is very difficult to understand everything there is to know. If the company is on the stock market and you are thinking of investing in it and you're wondering, should you go all in on this one thing? The reason I would say no in the case of a company on the stock market is that you cannot be sure that the board of directors are not going to make a decision that is going to negatively affect the company and drop the stock price. You can't predict what the board of directors are going to do in the future. What the board of directors do largely, hugely affects the stock market price of that company. So if you can't predict what is going to happen in the future for a company, you can't go all in on that thing. You can only put an equal amount into a bunch of companies if you can't be sure what one company is going to do in the future. You can just make assumptions, but when you're making assumptions, this means you need to diversify. What diversification means is that you put, for example, an equal amount of money into a bunch of different companies. You're not going all in on one company because, as I discussed, you cannot be sure what is going to happen with that company, with the stock price. And the reason you can't be sure on the stock price is you can't be sure what is going to happen internally or externally for that company in the future. You might predict that their sales are going to do well for a certain product that they're about to release or something of that nature. But when you have a board of directors, you can't control what they're going to do. You might even have an idea of who these people are that are on the board of directors and that they make good decisions or they have a track record of good managing of a company. You still cannot be 100% sure that they are not going to make a negative decision that is going to negatively affect the stock price of that company. That is why you cannot go all in on one company on the stock market. That is my opinion. Some people might have a different opinion. If you do, you can put a comment below the video. In the case of other assets, it may be possible to be 100% sure what's happening. But this is not the case usually. With almost every asset, you have assumptions and you can increase your knowledge to be able to make a better decision as to what's going to happen with that asset in the future. And let's talk about how you increase your knowledge for a specific asset. It's difficult when it comes to a company because with a company, you have people involved and you can't investigate what these people are going to do in the future. When you have an asset such as Bitcoin, you can research it. You can read books. You can find out how it works. This is why I think Bitcoin is such an interesting asset, because it's not controlled by any one person. When you have a company, it is hugely controlled by the CEO of that company, and any decisions they make are going to affect the future of that company. Bitcoin is not controlled by any one person. Some people get confused and think Bitcoin is a company. It is absolutely not. It is not controlled by any one person. If you only remembered that one fact about Bitcoin, it would help you hugely going into the future, because with Bitcoin, you have a system where people run a piece of software on a piece of hardware and they are known as a miner. And there are many, many miners around the world. That is a whole nother topic. With a company, it's totally different. You have a product that might be released in the future. It might not get released. It might get delayed. Bitcoin is not like Apple, where Apple release an iPhone every so often and then the stock price is usually dependent on the sales of that product that they are releasing, whereas Bitcoin just has the same system that's running all the time. Now you have something called the Bitcoin halving that changes the amount of Bitcoin that is released to the market on a daily basis every 4 years. Again, that's another topic. That's a topic for another day. With diversification, you just cannot decide to go all in on a company, because a company is controlled by people and the release of products and all of this. So you can make assumptions as to what's going to happen with a company. But when you have these uncontrollable things going on in the company, it is not possible to put all of your money onto or into one company, because you can't be 100% sure as to what is going to happen in the future. If you have an asset like Bitcoin, it is much more possible to go and research that asset, because it's not controlled by any one person. And you can go and look at the code of how Bitcoin is run, because Bitcoin is run on code. And the code will always be the same. For example, there will always be 21 million coins in the Bitcoin system, and that is how it is done. It is there, that will not change. When I talk about companies, is the CEO going to step down and a new CEO might come in and change the way the company is run? That's not going to happen with an asset like Bitcoin. Diversification is important if you are investing in something where you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think when you can be sure as to what's going to happen in the future, then you don't need to diversify as much. Then it is a lot more possible to go all in on that one asset, because you have the possibility of researching that asset and being sure you know what's going to happen. If you can read 10, 15 books on an asset like Bitcoin, and you can know that the system is run like this, and in 10 years, in 30 years, it's going to be exactly the same. There's going to be the same rules will be running the system. But with the case of a company, in 30 years, it is extremely likely that another group of people will be running that company, making the decisions that are affecting the stock price. That is the reason why people diversify when it comes to the stock market, because you have product releases, you have new hires, new CEOs, new everything that can be a potential for a stock price drop in a company stock price. But with an asset like Bitcoin, or even something else like gold, that is again another topic, but there's less of a control around one person. They can positively affect that asset or they can negatively affect it, but ideally you don't want one person to be in control of something that you have all your investment in. You will see throughout your investing career that when a big change in the stock price happens, or in the asset price in the case of Bitcoin, the price move happens, and almost every time the asset price move will have changed before you realize that the change is happening. It's usually very quick, and you go onto the chart and you see that the line has changed and the price has gone up or the price has gone down. To go all in on one asset, you need to be able to research it, so that you can research it, learn it, and in 10 years, that information will still be the same. This can't be done with companies.